Hey everybody, Rosematter here, and welcome to part 14 of my Danganronpa, another Let's Play. The last episode, the students are trapped in a section of the school, and I know they're usually trapped, but with this one, they have limited resources, specifically food, and the rules are that they are not allowed to leave until someone is murdered, and eventually everybody kind of started to lose their minds, especially Kinjo, telling everybody that they should do like a group unaliving of themselves, but eventually we did have a murder, and it was poor Haruhiko was the next victim. So we start off with the investigation. We're going to do the investigation, so let's get back into it. Alright, well let's jump right into the investigating. There's a lot to look at. Oh Maeda-kun. Tyra, what are you doing without investigating? I'm sorry, the body is so terrible. I understand it's hard, but we can't help it. We have to do it. We have to do our own investigation, as far as we can. I know, it's been about a week since Uehara-kun's case. I'll do my best. Ugh, the smell. This is the source of the smoke. It looked like it was like a bomb had been, or like a... I wonder if he was killed right at that moment. Like when we set off the like a trap, like by trying to open the door it set off like that bomb, or if he was killed beforehand. It was a military smokescreen that was often used for strategic purposes in modern warfare, as it was on the ground and still spreading a little bit of smoke from it. Also close to the smoke bomb there was a flash grenade that had been used and became an empty steel barrel. Flashbang and smokescreen, these were also... When Tori and I opened the door at first to the arsenal this morning, in an instant a tremendous light and sound came upon me. At the same time, the smokescreen spread like a mist. Looking this far, no matter what I think, these grenades can be affirmed as the cause of the situation. The question is, who? Who would do this? And what happened while we were confused? Was it also the culprit? In the most realistic case, when we opened the arsenal, the killer was already inside, so that was used as like a smokescreen, right? So that person was able to run out. So, in that case, I was thinking maybe, like, Teruya, to me, would be the number one suspect because him and Haru were fighting. And he, like, Teruya probably has knowledge about how to use items. Now, I don't know if it's a matter of, like, he got, like, the smoke screen. No, it could, like, Teruya's the only person that was with us. If that was the case, to, like, make the person be able to run out, because it was another locked room situation, right? So Teruya, in that case, other than me, is the one person who it couldn't possibly be. Alright, so the killer was already inside the arsenal. Even if it was estimated from the time of death of Haruhiko, the timing was right, and in an absolute soundproof arsenal, no matter how loud it would have been impossible to notice. There's only one entrance to the arsenal. In order to escape, they would have no way but to meet us outside. Was the smokescreen and flashbang used to avoid that encounter? However, when I recall the situation in the morning, it'd be difficult to say a person would artificially come out at the same time we opened the door. Okay. So we have to figure out how the person was able to set this up. Oh, wait. This is... A thick wooden plank was stuck in the inner handle of the arsenal door, and now it was in a state of being doubled toward the opening of the door. Something that I heard right before opening the door with Teruya this morning. It looks like it was this wooden board. So similar to Kanata, where there was like a plank that was holding the door shut. The overall development that can be inferred so far is the thick plank was clasped in the door of the arsenal, and the flash and smoke grenades were both placed on the plank. That happened when you forcefully opened the door from the outside. The board would get crushed, and the placed grenades would fall to the floor. That shock triggered the grenades. But something felt weird. In the end, if it was meant to be used by the killer to get out of the arsenal through an enormous light and sound, was it necessary to use this cumbersome method? I can't even guess what the killer's goal was. Maybe, okay, 4D chess, maybe the killer wanted us to think that way, that it was used as a smoke screen so the person was able to, like, duck out while we were, like, distracted. And maybe Teruya showed up knowing that that was going to be there. So he could be like, well, I was with Yuki when we opened the door, so it couldn't possibly be me. Like, Teruya's still my number one suspect in all this, but it almost seems too obvious because him and Haru were, like, at each other's throats, so he would be the most likely suspect. I can't even guess what the killer's goal was. Plus, that seems to be a common thing in at least some of them, where, like, the killer is one of the first people to show up because they know where the body's gonna be. Makaru, I wanted to ask you something. It's noisy. Since when do you get along with me talking so freely? Get lost. Even so, I thought we'd cooperate a little by passing the same point of death, but it seems to have gotten worse. In this case, it might be better to cooperate with Kinjo as much as possible with this limited time. This is a pistol. It's located in the immediate vicinity of Haruhiko. Then, the pistol could be the weapon that killed Haruhiko. Or so I thought, but soon I realized it was wrong. The guns are all scattered on the floor. There wasn't only one gun that fell on the floor. Perhaps it was the criminal's actions. Most of the guns fell to the floor and were mixed randomly. And it can't be suicide, because Monokuma himself said that that doesn't count. From this point on, I don't know which gun was the one that directly killed Haruhiko. It'd be difficult to conclude that this is the gun used for killing, just because it was the closest one. It seems that the guns were all scattered in order to prevent the real one from being found. I should check things out. Okay, just straight up nothing at all. Cool. Oh, Maeda-kun, welcome back. Monokuma, why are you here? Geez, why are you treating me so harshly? I served you a meal as promised, didn't I? Did you eat your food? I don't have time for your nonsense jokes. Disappear. Why are you so angry, I wonder? Anyways, I've forgotten something, so I came to deliver it to you. It's the Monokuma file number 4. Oh, right. Weak reaction. Maeda-kun, you baka, Mulberry. Monokuma file number 4. It's already the 4th file. No, let's stop thinking like that. My only option is to think about the case. This is the Monokuma file left behind by Monokuma. It doesn't seem like much help, but I'll have to read it first. The victim is Haruhiko Kobushikawa. The estimated time of death is around 6 a.m. The body was found in the arsenal. The cause of death was excessive bleeding due to a gunshot wound to the right chest. In addition, the index finger and middle finger of his right hand were ruptured and broken. Oh. Oh, that could be from firing a gun. Sometimes if you fire a gun, there could be some kickback. I don't know if that would break your fingers. Huh, interesting. Gunshot wound. Well, the first time I saw the arsenal at the ballroom, I guessed it vaguely, but from this fact, the intake seems to be a gun. The time of death is about 6 a.m. Time was lost when I spent in the ballroom, but when I went to the dormitory to change my clothes a little earlier, I checked the current time was around 9 a.m. That means Haruhiko's death was less than 3 hours ago. I got up after listening to the announcement at 7 this morning, so the incident only happened quite early this time. This time, the time of death is properly written, and I guess the cause of death too. There was a trap in the Monokuma file from the previous case. There was confusion of the time because it didn't write down whether it was AM or PM, but fortunately, there seems to be no doubt about this Monokuma file. But that's it. This Monokuma file is just that. No special clues to be found in it. No, at least we can know the estimated time of death. Let's take a note of it. Oh, it's just creepy when the eyes are open. It's like Kanata's body. It's just that much worse. It's Haruhiko's body. No different from our friends who've died so far. The cold, empty eyes. We are alive today because you're dead. Don't you think this is absurd? There is no way Haruhiko, who had passed away in such a devastating manner, would answer me. But the class trial still remains. If we can't find the culprit who killed you, we all die. By all means, I will find the one who killed you, Haruhiko. I won't make your death in vain. After expressing minimal condolences to Haruhiko, as if making a prayer, I began to investigate the body. First, the fatal wound that could be considered the direct cause of death must be a gunshot wound to the chest. In the case of friends who've died so far, they used a hammer, a knife, or a plaster weapon that made the murder weapon bloody. The case of Haruhiko was because Monokuma prepared an arsenal. He was shot because the treasure provided an inspiration to kill him. However, I don't really know how to deal with this, as ordinary students like me don't have the slightest idea of how one feels to be shot. A murder weapon's a gun. Even if it was a gun, what kind of gun was it? And in addition to the gunshot wound in the chest, you know, Teruya said he knew stuff about weapons, right? He talked about that. And I hate to say it, but like, of all the characters, considering that the next chapter should be the last chapter, he seems like the least important character. Like, Kinjo, obviously he's a pretty big character. Akane is a pretty big character. Rei just serves as, like, being an antagonist. And Haru, oh my gosh, why am I so bad at remembering her name? I'm so sorry. The exorcist, but there's a lot going on with her. She's very mysterious, and Teruya is just there. So I feel like he would be kind of the most, like, disposable character. So he's still my #1 suspect. In addition to the gunshot wound in the chest, there's something suspicious. Haruhiko's right hand. Blah. His right hand was devastatingly destroyed so much I couldn't see it with my eyes open. It was literally destroyed. The index and middle fingers were, completely amputated, and the remaining fingers were torn to pieces. Wow, I just heard about, like, ruptured and broken. I guess ruptured is a sign that it's pretty serious, but I thought maybe, like, his fingers just got broken, but I'm sure Haruhiko got his wound from being shot in the chest, but what in the world happened to the wound on his right hand? No matter how much I think about it, I don't think my hand would look like this if I was shot by a bullet. Rather than a gun, it's like he got caught in a dynamite-like explosion. I think it's a little seared when I looked at it closely. I wonder what kind of gun it was that shot Haruhiko. It's urgent we find out the identity of the object that caused the wound on the right hand. Well, maybe it's the grenade? Although I feel like a grenade would do a little bit more damage than that. I've heard of, like, people holding firecrackers and that, like, completely destroying your hand. There was no more noticeable clues, and I couldn't see any more of my friend's terrible body, so I decided to stop and get up. Alright, Turiya, I have questions for you, sir. Ugh. Turiya, you okay? Your complexion looks bad. No big deal. Don't mind me. Huh? Suddenly, while investigating the corner of the wall, I saw something out of place. This gun. Why is it so far away in the corner of the room? I picked it up from the floor and checked it. I felt the heavy, peculiar feeling of how real it was, but I couldn't find anything particularly strange. It's just a gun that doesn't change much, like the other guns that are on display. Was it just a little far away? It almost... Oh. Maeda, what are you doing? What is it, Turiya? That gun almost seems like when somebody walked in, like it was set up to, like, go off and shoot somebody when they walked into the room. What is it, Turiya? You should take your hands off that gun right now. Wait, this must be some misunderstanding. I was just trying to investigate. I feel like that was set up. Turiya, suspicious. That gun will blow up. But this almost seems too obvious, though, eh? Blow up? What are you talking about? What are you doing? Now you've decided to kill? It's a shame for me to tell you this, but it'd be a big deal if I were in your shoes right now. So don't touch that gun. That's not it. I was just trying to investigate. This is a misunderstanding. Why would I try to kill you? Eh? You weren't trying to shoot me? That's right. So what did you mean by this blowing up? Okay, Forget it, it's nothing. What? Turiya's sudden behavior is strange, but according to his words, this could be dangerous, so I put the pistol in its original position and decided to leave it alone. However, Turiya's strange remarks felt like something was odd. I'll take note of it. Now he seems too likely to be the suspect. What is this? At first, there was no distinction from the tin blood on the floor, but when I looked closely, I felt something like it was like the remnants of something other than blood was stuck on the floor. A gun? Is it really? It was so disastrously destroyed that there was almost no form left, but I almost thought of the gun form of parts. Maybe that's the gun, that's what Haru was holding in his hand, and it just exploded into pieces, and that's why there's blood all over it? It wasn't just because of the destruction, but a large amount of blood with each piece on it. Because of the lighting on the floor, it was difficult to see it clearly. How could it be destroyed this way, though? It's like seeing a bloody octopus. No, that doesn't make sense. While observing the remains of the destroyed gun, I suddenly found something noticeable. This gun is loaded with bullets. In my mind, I checked around the other guns, but all the magazines were empty. For this to be the only one destroyed, a small number of bullets were loaded. The arsenal is basically unloaded, and the bullets who were loaded separately are stuck on the magazine. Because of these conditions, and the fact that the only one loaded with bullet is this gun means there's a possibility that this is the murder weapon. Sounds like a pretty important clue. Let's be careful to remember this. Also, there's just all the blood all over the place. I'm like, did Haru just stagger, like, all around the room? Okay, I don't know if there's anything else. Kinjo. Maeda. In the end, I can't hide the awkward mood. Kinjo told me to focus only on the investigation, but I was still worried about it. Just... Yes? Do you have anything to ask about the case? Well, I mean Haruhiko's body. He wasn't killed instantly, right? Indeed. In fact, there's a hole in the chest, and even in the Monokuma file, it's said to be an excessive bleeding death due to a gunshot wound. So maybe that's him just staggering all over the place, just dripping blood before he collapsed here. A gun? Until now, thanks to the layout of the school, there were murders with items that'd be common in the everyday life. To think that there would be a person who was shot to death. It's fine. You guys might not be familiar, but I have my fair share of experience with gunshots. If there's something you don't know, it's fine to ask. Is it because the incident happened? Even though there was a conflict less than 24 hours ago, Kinjo wasn't much different from the way he usually treats me. Well, maybe it's the gun and the chest wound. Would it be better to see this as an immediate death? No, I don't think Haruhiko was close to immediate death. Why is that? Even if it was on the chest, it's not the heart, it's the right chest. The bullet passed through the body. Since it wasn't stuck, it would have been possible to move for a short amount of time, rather than die immediately. Wasn't stuck means it penetrated the body. Wouldn't it be more dangerous then? There are surprisingly many people who think that way, but in reality, it's better for a bullet to pass through the body than being stuck in it. There are 3 types of layer damage to a body. One is bleeding, another is burning, the last is the impact of a bullet's kinetic energy. If you look at it one by one, it's difficult to inflict great damage due to the small surface area. In case of burns, and it's rare that from excessive bleeding you die immediately. But the story of a shock caused by the kinetic energy is different. Maida, if you get hit with a fist or a bat, it'd be difficult to move due to the impact, right? That's, well, if you're an ordinary person who doesn't have special training, that'd be even worse. Similarly, when a bullet gets stuck inside the body, all the kinetic energy turns into shock energy, creating an instantaneous, large space in the body. The fact that this space has been created means the body's been greatly shocked. This shock will cause negligible damage, and damage to the surrounding organs as well. Well, look at me learning about kinetic energy in bullets. I didn't know that. Really? I'm not sure what you mean exactly, but anyways, that means penetration is a better alternative to than getting stuck, right? That's what it means. In fact, in some foreign countries, there are bullets that split the front part of the bullet and causes fragments that get stuck into the body. I've heard of those ones. Yeah, that's terrible. There's like, is buckshot? Is that considered that kind of where like the bullet like basically sprays so that you get like, it just goes all throughout the body? That's terrible. The bullet did this. It was a fatal injury to be hit by this bullet, whether it was stuck or it was pierced. Especially in the case of Haruhiko, as you said, the chest was hit, so even if it was pierced, there's a high possibility a hole in the lungs was pierced. As I said, it's only less shocking, and he must have died shortly after having difficulty breathing and bleeding. It's hard. Guns should only be cheap for the wicked. Unless it's an extreme game. What? This is an extreme situation. There doesn't really seem to be a need to be talked about. Anyways, I'll move to another place since the arsenal's been roughly investigated. Make sure to investigate carefully if you find something. Let me know, Maida. You know what? I didn't even consider Satsuki. She's not in the room, so I didn't even consider her. I don't know if she was one where I'm like, maybe she killed Haru. They seemed close, but she also said she's a good actress and she can control her emotions well, so I don't know. I feel like Satsuki would be like the most shocking person for it to be. Kinjo, there was an incident yesterday, and he seemed to be unstable recently, but it seems everything's okay. Was it only me that had a hard time dealing with it? Seriously, Kinjo's a completely different person from the first time we met. The time he was hostile to us, and the time of the investigation. For now, let's check what Kinjo told me. I didn't really understand it all, but in summary, it's better to be pierced from the bullet and have it be stuck, and Haruhiko's case was the latter. Was it like this? I wonder if have I investigated everything? Alright, Satsuki. She's gonna be like, I can't investigate, I'm too sad. Satsuki, why are you standing still doing what? Yuki, what am I supposed to do? Is it because it's Haru? It seems horrible, but we have no choice but to investigate, even if it sounds cheap. In order to survive. To survive, is it? Satsuki? No, yeah, the investigation. I have to, yeah. She's so quiet. It wasn't like Satsuki at all. And the girl went rampant like always. It seems Haruhiko's death hurt more on her than any of us. Kinjo, what are you doing in front of the door? Maida, you're here. There's something I was going to check right now, but if it's okay, why don't we check together? What are we looking for? We're looking at it. I'm guessing Haru's room? It's opened. Wasn't this room... Indeed, it was Haruhiko Koshibakawa... Oh, it was from Haruhiko Koshibakawa's corpse. I borrowed the key from it for a while. Because this is an incident in a closed space with limited movement, it's better to search everywhere as possible. This is our first time actually checking the victim's room. I decided to follow Kinjo and investigate Haru's room. It's a room that's no different from my room, shockingly enough. Maida, look at this. There is something of interest here. Another note? Some kind of paper? Maybe telling him to meet... To Haruhiko, I have something to say. If you read this, why don't you come to the arsenal? I'm not going to kill you. I hope you believe me. I'll be waiting. This is... Oh, the letter was written by the killer. It's the same method as when Maki was killed. Besides, this letter wasn't torn like last time. It's proof that the culprit couldn't even mess with. However, this seems a little more than what it takes. What it takes? I'll ask you, Maida, after reading this, would you go to the arsenal? Huh? I mean... By the time the letter was sent, they would kill me, just after we hit each other and fought. In that situation, if I received a letter like this from you... That's making me think maybe Satsuki, because I feel like that's the only person that Haru would trust to, like, not kill him. That was also the way Mitsuhiro Higa used putting a letter down the door. Down the door? How could you know that? Can't you tell by a glance? There's no reason to meet face to face and give a letter, and there's no other way to send a letter in a locked room like this, unless maybe Satsuki gave it to Haru in person. And like I said, she's the one person I feel like he would trust. It's definitely the first time anyone thinks of calling themselves out for murder. But why did Haruhiko go directly to the arsenal? Well, but couldn't it have been that they didn't know because it was impossible to think normally? I mean, just before, we went crazy. No, we were already crazy. If you look at the source of that madness, it's due to being starved and dying because we couldn't eat food, and the fear that someone might kill you. In other words, it's because of the self-defense fear of death. I don't want to die. So you'd rather judge things related to death more rationally than usual in extreme situations. Still, the question remains, why did Haruhiko go through death's door by all means? Is it because they believed it? What? Haruhiko probably believed that no one in our group could commit a murder. They believed until the very end. We were all on the verge of releasing the strings of reason, but that was different from Haruhiko. He was the same. He wasn't sane, but he still opposed the idea of murder to the end. Kinjo, you did that too, right? He didn't want to ask you, but we've all gotten weird. He pled to you to do something, because Haruhiko was like that. Even if they were insane, he would have trusted a friend and go straight to the arsenal. Such stupidity. That's not worth the word trust. It's like jumping into death without being able to judge the situation. What's with that face? Were you hoping to get closer to me? Did you want me to be impressed by saying this was your way of showing your trust to others? Well, look at the result. He died because of that stupidity. That's the reason I'm far away from people like this. Kenjo. Enough. We're investigating now. We can't get excited over personal feelings. Well, whatever Haruhiko acted that way, whether because of mischief is withheld, but this letter is an important clue in the end. Just finding this gives a great achievement. There seems to be nothing else special in the room other than this. I'll leave and check other places then. Let's see each other at the class trial. Just trying to think of what else we can investigate. I thought he was okay, but Kinjo's after all having doubts in his own mind. If this class trial ends safely and we all survive, we'll have to seriously talk about Kinjo's state. Oh, there you are. Korikawa. One of these days I'll remember your name. Korikawa, you were here. What about the arsenal investigation? I did it, roughly. You aren't supposed to do it roughly. Maeda, I want you to listen to me. Huh? There's a problem with the alibis. During dawn, I kept monitoring the hallway. You were Kurikawa? Are you okay? I didn't really know, but you could have died because of hunger. It's okay, I'm used to it. You're used to it? Anyways, about the alibis. My room is right next to the arsenal. Unfortunately, because of the soundproofing, I couldn't hear anything inside the arsenal. Only the sound of the arsenal door opening and closing could be heard. That means you saw it. You saw who went into the arsenal? Well, wouldn't that be nice? I heard the sounds. I couldn't see them from this room, but I could see the moment when they were passing by the door of my room. Isn't that right next to the arsenal anyway? If I'd passed in front of your room and headed to the arsenal... No. This is the hallway on the left side, in front of the arsenal. Due to the structure of the ballroom, if you turned to the other side and entered the arsenal, you can move without seeing the eyes of Kurikawa. That's right, but at least I've seen a few people that entered the arsenal. Oh, a couple of people, really? Who were they? One is Haruhiko, and the other? The rest? I'll tell you in the trial. God damn it! Why? Why are they like this? Suddenly, I thought about investigating. Still a weird girl as usual, but thanks to Kurikawa, this case could be solved fairly easily. I feel like it's not going to be quite so easy. Apart from that, I'm worried about Kurikawa's health. She usually looks weak and nervous, but this time she couldn't even sleep or eat at all. I hope she's okay. Alright, so she doesn't have anything else to say. So let's go back into the arsenal and see what Kurokawa is investigating. Oh, okay. The bloodstained gun that was destroyed and scattered lied here. Seems this gun was loaded with bullets. Okay, there must be something else I'm missing here. Okay, oh, I couldn't see it properly because of the smoke, but when I suddenly stopped to look at it, I could find that there was an unnatural bloodstain on the floor. Blood traces danced throughout the arsenal, as if Haruhiko wandered around the arsenal after being shot. What is this unnatural bloodstain? This is like the last case. It's only obvious it's Haru's blood, but rather than trying to run away after being shot, just by looking at the blood spots, it seems as if he was trying to move in the arsenal all over the place. Simply put, it was so bizarre. Is it reasonable to assume this degree of descriptive blood was made by the killer dragging Haruhiko unconscious? Well, for now, I can only think of it as a possibility, but there must be some reason for the blood to be left this way. Plus, right? Weird that the blood, or the gun is up near the top, and yet he's up near the front. It's like they wanted us to see him when we first walked into the room. Oh, there we go. There was blood splattered in this area, too. Whoa, eh? I was trying to check the condition of the guns in display. There was blood on the display, but when I looked up close, I witnessed an even more grotesque sight. Oh, God! Fingers. Okay, so he was killed here, and then, I guess, dragged, yeah, over to the front. It was human fingers, no matter how you look at it. And of course, the owner of these fingers was Haru. I knew Haruhiko's body had a ruptured hand in addition to the gunshot wound in the chest. Among them, his index finger and middle finger fell off from him. His fingers lie here as proof. But why are his fingers here? First glance, it was far away from Haruhiko's body. From the shape of the blood, it seemed like he began to walk after his fingers got cut. No, it's the opposite. It's likely that this was rather that his body was moved, just by taking a glance on the floor. I should consider the possibility that the killer moved the body for some reason. Oh wow, wait, what? It's already done? Holy cow. It was like the quickest... Oh my gosh, that was the quickest investigation ever. There's like nothing. Hello, can everybody hear me? It's already time. Anyways, it happened only inside the ballroom, so there's not much to investigate, right? Now then, everyone, please gather in front of the entrance to the courtroom. Well, hopefully it will make up for it, you know, a relatively streamlined and easy investigation by being, you know, a little bit more of a complex, not too complex. I don't want it to be too hard, but, you know, something a little bit interesting. So it's already the end of the investigation. No matter how much I do this, it's too short. Damn, I don't think I've recovered my sensitivity yet. But it can't be helped. I did my best to investigate as much as I could. All that remains is what we have investigated so far, and we have no choice but to guess the killer with everyone else. Oh my gosh, look at how few people there are. Everyone's here. Yes. Oh, Maeda's here. Then let's start the trial. He's still so nervous. Only the tension is flowing. The mood is terribly awkward. While in the ballroom, the world of a lawless land was so colorless and hard. Above all, the number of people was too small. 7 people, including me. Besides, one of us is the culprit who killed Haruhiko. Even if this trial is safely handed over, the criminal will be executed and only 6 people will remain. 6. It was a number that didn't feel real. When had our head count been reduced to this extent? Looks like everyone's gathered. Well, it's easier to manage people since the number's been reduced, but isn't everybody's tension too low? Events that are washed out, like class trials, are more lively, you know? It's no fun because there's no reaction at all. Jeez. Now then, it's already the 4th time, right? This is the start of a fun class trial, so get on the elevator. Whatever the case, I have to go beyond this class trial. The later issues are for later. Everyone has their faces as if they were determined to do something, even in an awkward mood. Different thoughts intersect each other, and we run into a hell called the class trial once again. I imagine Pearly won't have much to say. Let's move. Kobazing. This case. No, you don't have to think so complicated. She's saying that, like, it's not going to be very hard to figure out. She's like, I already know who it is. We finally escaped from the ballroom due to the death of Kobashiwa-kun and escaped the risk of being hungry to death. I'm not happy at all. We can only survive by someone's sacrifice. It's the same for the class trials. At the expense of one criminal, it's a system where everyone lives. I'm so sad I have to do this again. Whoa, 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 whoa. What do you want? Don't worry about me. I'm not crying. He almost seems too suspicious. I'm like, I have a feeling it's gonna be like someone wild like Satsuki, like the last person you'd expect. I'll be a little disappointed if it's Teru, oh my gosh. Teruya, wow, I'm going way back. At first, I thought the elevator was so narrow that it felt full, but now it's so wide. I looked at the 6 others than me in heavy silence one by one. Kinjo is now in complete trial mode. In this state, Kinjo does a 180-degree change. He only uses his head to break through the events before his eyes. But is it because of our mood that it looks like there's an anxious expression somewhere? Aranami, who's not lost her bright appearance at any time, was still unable to escape from her shock of losing Haru. She wasn't the same. She wasn't the same Satsuki anymore, and her shaggy appearance made even the beholder's heart ache. Kurokawa was always the same. She just stayed consistent with silence, and I couldn't even tell what she was thinking. Taira looked very tired. She didn't want to lose any more friends, and she didn't want to go through the class trials anymore. That kind of heart seemed to linger on her face. Teruya was restless after the incident. I may feel that Teruya's behavior was strange, but if you think about it, Teruya was like this at every trial, so it's not that unusual. Makaru wasn't saying that she'd watch us shovel as usual, but she was thinking of something unfamiliar to Makaru, like something unexpected even for her. Is there anything that will get us stuck in this case? Different thoughts and different beliefs crossed between each other. At this point where there are only 7 people left, we're thinking differently, but we have to overcome this. A hell-like 4th class trial. The elevator stops. As if we had made an appointment, we step at the same time without a special signal, towards a very familiar courtroom. I just noticed that Uharu's, his, like, thing across his thing is a cross. I like that. You're here. I was waiting. How are you guys? It's been a long time, hasn't it? You met with us right after the murder happened a while ago, though. And that was, like, the quickest investigation ever. No, I mean meeting me as the judge. Well, it's been more than a week since the last trial. Instead of that, this presiding judge is more stylish than usual. Don't be useless and start the damn thing already. Shocked. Well, I'm always neglected, but this time it's getting more thorns. Don't you think so, Maeda-kun? I don't care. Start as Makaru said already. Even Maeda-kun is rude to me. This could be a sign to represent your heartache. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Then I'll start as you wish. Now, shall we start right away? To uncover the truth of the prolonged stay in the ballroom incident for more than a week, we have the all-exciting, heart-pounding class trial. The only thing that's the same as usual is Monokuma. Each one of us were in serious mode, unlike usual. The tension in this trial, the feeling of losing a dear friend to us. The reasons were different, but in the end, we came here for the class trial. Now, all that remains is to find the culprit by confronting all the clues, testimonies, and test our wits that we have. Haruhiko. Our relationship with him was finally bonding us together in the middle. He was like a licorice in a drugstore. That is an odd analogy, but okay. With Satsuki, he always showed his bright side, and at the same time, his love for his friend was twice as deep as anyone else's. As a result, thanks to his death, we were able to eat and survive. But Haruhiko couldn't eat anymore. It was an unavoidable choice to live, but as a result, there's a culprit that killed Haruhiko. If we don't find them, we will all die in the end. The atmosphere of the court is filled with silence. Our trial finally begins. A life-threatening discussion, a life-threatening lie, a life-threatening betrayal. A life-threatening conclusion, a life-threatening defense, a life-threatening trust. A life-threatening class trial. That music is pretty cool. Alright, well, man, that was a way shorter episode than I was expecting. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of a longer class trial to make up for it, because I felt like the last class trial was pretty quick in comparison. So I have given my thoughts about who I think the Blackened is. I think either, like, Teruya seems to be the most obvious choice, but that in itself could be, you know, like a red herring. So I'm gonna go out there and say maybe Satsuki did it. I don't know. My thing is about the note, especially maybe if the note was given in person, that she would be the one person that I think Haru would, like, actually trust to not kill him if he did get the note in person. It could have been slipped through the door as well. That's what I have to go on that. And Teruya, obviously, like, they've been butting heads and he's been acting strange, and even, like, Yuki has mentioned that. So yeah, those are my two top picks for who I think the Blackened are, but only one way to find out, but we're going to have to wait for that answer. Probably not the next episode, because I'm guessing it's probably going to be another two-parter for the class trial. I'm super excited to get into it. Let's hope it's a good one. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned next week for part 15. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top-tier patrons: Emily Hornsby, Lady of Eternity, Revealing Storm, Asborn Kennedy, Jared Fan, Harry Gazif, Icognito, and Zoran Ether.